This is Focus on North Central Ohio, a weekly news program produced by the WMFD-TV News Department. Now, here's your host, Bridget Coles.
Hello, I'm Natalie Clark in for Bridget Coles. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's Focus on North Central Ohio. Very important program coming your way. The Fugitive Safe Surrender program is actually expanding to Richland County. We're going to learn more about that with Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine and Deputy Chief of Mansfield Police Department, Toby Smith. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me today. Let's talk about the program because we're starting to hear a little bit more about it, and it's starting to gain some knowledge here in our area. But if you can, Ohio Attorney General, can you tell them what the program is? What is the Fugitive Safe Surrender program, and maybe how it became developed?
Sure. I think we need first to start with what the problem is.
Okay.
And the problem is that in Richland County there are thousands and thousands of outstanding warrants, criminal warrants for people. So they're fugitives from justice who we run into every single day, whether at the grocery store or whether at the filling station. And that's a dangerous thing. And the reason it's dangerous is these people, they try to avoid justice. They try to avoid police officers. They try to avoid sheriffs. If they're a victim of crime, they don't want to report it. If they're a witness to crime, they don't want to report it. And the idea came about out of a tragedy that occurred in Cleveland a few years ago. A police officer was making a routine traffic arrest or traffic approach to someone, and they had an outstanding warrant. They pulled a gun and shot the police officer. So it's a dangerous situation to have that many people in our society who have outstanding warrants, who are ducking the police.
Right.
And so the idea is to make it easier, frankly, for some of them to come forward and surrender. And this is not an amnesty program. There's no guarantee that when they come forward, anyone's going to wipe the slate
Sure.
clean for them. But many of these people don't have serious crimes. It's everything down to multiple traffic tickets, parking fines, all the way up to more serious misdemeanors and some felonies. And so the idea is to take 4 days, and in this case we're going to do it in October, 4 days in October. It's going to be a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And what's really worked is setting up shop in a church. And what we do is we move the court system to the church. We have the judges there. We have the prosecutors there. There are attorneys from the Bar Association there who will represent the defendants. People will be, bond will be set. There'll be, the computers will be there, electronic equipment, so the judge can check the criminal record. The police officers can check the criminal record. So it's a major event in Richland County. We're going to all this trouble because it works. We've seen it work across the country. I've been involved in this for a number of years. I was involved in the program in Cleveland. Cleveland on one weekend Cuyahoga County brought in 7,500 fugitives who surrendered. Now we don't expect that in Richland County. We're a much smaller county here. But with over 5,000 outstanding warrants, we expect some good results.
So it gives them the opportunity to feel comfortable, and you call it Fugitive Safe Surrender because they can safely surrender themselves without feeling the pressures and intimidated by a court system.
It's a strange thing. You have to kind of think about it a while, and you say, well, why would someone come forward? Why are they more likely to surrender in a church than they are in a police station or a sheriff's department or in a court? But the truth is they are.
Right.
They're more likely to come forward. And so we're going to move the court system literally into the church. All the judges in the county are cooperating. It's been great cooperation. The sheriff's department, the police department, a lot of local jurisdictions are involved. The judges who are going to take the brunt of this, quite frankly, are the municipal court judges, Judge Artis and Judge Alt. They're going to handle probably the majority of these cases. They've been very, very helpful, very, very cooperative. But all the judges have. It takes a real concerted community effort. So the community has really come together for this program. I got involved in it a number of years ago when I was in the United States Senate. And U.S. Marshal Pete Elliott came to me with this idea. and he was starting it in Cleveland. And what I did in the Senate was to take this program nationwide, to provide some money so that communities across the country would be able to do that. Now, unfortunately, about 6 months ago, the U.S. Marshals Service, for budgetary reasons, said we can't do this anymore. And so, as Attorney General, I came forward and said, we need to do it in Ohio. We can't let this die in Ohio. This is too important. It's too important to the safety of our police officers. It's too important to the safety of the public. We have to keep this program going. And so we've kind of taken the lead. And the first place we're actually doing it is right here in Richland County. We're very proud of that.
That's great. And in just a moment, we're going to take a quick break. But Deputy Chief, when we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit more about our local connection and why it is important to bring this program to Richland County. Sound good? Mm-hmm. Don't go away. There's more coming your way in just a moment. Welcome back. We are talking about the Fugitive Safe Surrender program coming here to Richland County, and you may be surprised at how many outstanding warrants we have here in Richland County, 5,500. That's pretty incredible, isn't it? Okay, Deputy Chief, let's talk about maybe the police department's role, and what does this program mean for police officers that are out on the street every single day?
Well, it's a win-win situation, not only for the police department, but for the fugitives. First of all, if you get stopped and you do have a warrant, you're going to jail. And you may go there and you may sit there for quite some time until they can fit you in a docket or see you, or you can get the money for your fines that you owe. So this is an opportunity, if you do have a warrant, to maybe not go to jail if you have a nonviolent offense. You're going to jail, or you're turning yourself in on your terms. And so many times when we have an encounter for a warrant, it ends up in a vehicle pursuit or a foot pursuit, or we end up with a use of force with the person that's being arrested. So it's an opportunity for you to take care of your warrant and do it safely and without a lot of other problems. A lot of these people that have warrants also have drug and alcohol problems. So when we encounter a person with a warrant, a lot of times they'll panic. Recently, we had 2 people on a warrant within the last several months who their girlfriends were driving the car, and whether they told their girlfriend, I have a warrant, I don't want stopped, so now you have a vehicle pursuit. It isn't even the person who has the warrant, but now you have a girlfriend who's going to be charged with a felony because she's fleeing and eluding. So a lot of times not only are they putting themselves in jeopardy, but also their friends and their family. So now you have a vehicle pursuit, then the person bails out of the car, now you have officers in a foot pursuit. Right. Then they'll get the person and they may be on drugs or alcohol, or they just may panic. Then you have a fight involving the officers and that person. Now you have the person hurt and you have officers hurt. So a lot of times when we're arresting people on a warrant, it just doesn't end good. This is an opportunity for everybody to be safe and not put the family or themselves in any type of danger.
Right, but it also, too, when they're caught off guard and they do panic and bad things can happen, this gives them the opportunity to mentally prepare themselves, to relax and calm down. You're able to go in there. You're not going to be judged.
Absolutely.
You're just there to take care of business, and whatever may be will be.
You get to pick the date and the time. There'll be officers at the door, to show you where to go. Officers will be checking the warrant. There'll be people to walk you through the system there at the church. It's an opportunity to pick when you're going to come and take care of your stuff. And the other thing is you're just going to be taking care of your warrant. You realize when we stop you and other things are involved, like I said, a lot of times these people are, have drug and alcohol problems. So when you do catch them, they're intoxicated or they have drug paraphernalia or some sort of drug on them. So not only do they have their warrant to deal with, but now they've maybe got a drug charge, an intoxication charge, a fleeing and eluding charge, an obstructing official business charge. So now they not only have that warrant charge, they've just added a whole list of other problems.
Just a whole slew of problems. But isn't it, it seems to me to be so much better because you have that there's an elephant in the room everywhere you go. Am I ever going to get caught? Am I ever going to get pulled over? Now you would have peace of mind to know I don't have to just keep running all the time. I don't have to be scared anymore. I can just go and take care of it.
These people are always looking over their shoulder.
Right. I would feel that. I mean, I would feel that way. Every time I got in the car, I'd be like, who's behind me?
And
you know, I'd be scared. Now you don't have to be.
And the numbers are from the other places that we've done this, is about
great.
90% of them walk away. The bond is set. It's dealt with. It will be dealt with in the future. So most of them who come in the door of that church are gonna walk back out. And so that is an incentive, I think. There's no amnesty at all. We're not promising anything. It's all up to the judge and what he or she thinks is best. But the odds are most of them are going to walk out that night. But even if they are going to go to jail, at least they know when they're going.
Right.
And they go, as the chief said, they go on their own terms.
Sure.
I mean, time, place. And there's something about being in a church, and we'll talk about this a little later. There's something about being in a church that just changes people's attitudes. You know, I don't care if they're religious, not religious. It changes their attitude about how they do it. And communities that have tried this without using churches, that have said just, okay, you can turn yourself in at the court, you can turn yourself in at the police department. They work, but they don't work nearly as well, frankly. Not as successful.
Well, you go in and you're kind of you're accepted. Churches are filled with love. They don't judge you. They're like, they open their doors for you. Come on in. Come on in and turn yourself in, and there you go.
And here in Richland County, Judge Alt and Judge Artis, we also have mental health court, drug court, veterans court. So you have an opportunity if you do have some other problems that you want to take care of. There'll be people there and probation officers that you can also not only take care of your warrant, but you can maybe get in a drug court program, mental health program.
There's help there as well.
Yes.
So reach out for help if you need it.
The Bureau of Motor Vehicles will be there. A lot of people have warrants because of moving violations. Something with traffic, did not have a driver's license, so the Bureau of Motor Vehicles will be there for them to speak to, so they can hopefully not only get their warrant taken care of, but get in the right direction to get their driving privileges back.
It's pretty much a one-stop shop operation, I mean, if you think about it. And that's one of the reasons that it does, in fact, work. There's not only the law enforcement, as the chief said, the law enforcement side, but really there's some help there as well.
So it'll be held October 5th through the 8th at the Oasis of Love Church here in Mansfield.
We're very happy that they've been willing to do this.
We're going to learn more about that, and we'll talk to the pastor of the church coming up in just a moment. She is our next guest. Don't go away. And we welcome you back. I told you we were going to have a special guest, and we do. This is Renee Collins. She is the executive pastor of the Oasis of Love Church here in Mansfield, and that is exactly where the Fugitive Safe Surrender program will be being held October 5th through the 8th. That is a Wednesday through Saturday. Let me start with you, Pastor, and just kind of ask you flat out, why did you guys step up to the plate and say, we'll have it at our church?
We are really excited about this opportunity. Our mission statement at the church is to provide a place of refuge for those who are seeking a better way of life. And so when this program was introduced to us, we just saw it as a perfect fit to our mission statement, to be the place of refuge, to be the safe place for people to come and be able to turn themselves in. So we're really excited and feel like this is an awesome opportunity to reach out into our community and be that haven for them.
So what do you feel it does for the county? Because I've said it before, we have 5,500 outstanding warrants. What do you think it makes them feel to be able to come to a local church, to be able to not be judged? What does this do for Richland County?
It's definitely, as Chief Toby said, it's definitely a win-win even for the county. Even in the planning stages, it has allowed factions of the county to come together that don't normally come together. We now have working relationships between the courts and the church and the police and some other areas that maybe didn't work together, or we knew of each other but we hadn't come together. So it's definitely a collaborative effort, and it's just, again, win-win. As it relates to the church, because we're so community focused and we believe in Richland County and we believe in Mansfield, we see this as an opportunity to do something very positive for our community and be able to maybe help even beyond the dates in October. We want people to know that Oasis of Love Church is there, and we just want an opportunity to show the love of Christ to everyone.
I love that. Maybe let's talk about how many, I know you can't say we want this many to show up, or what would you be happy with? You both can answer that. What would you like to see here?
You know, we'll be happy whoever shows up.
Sure.
Because that's someone who's off the street, that's someone who's into the court system and no longer an outlier outside the court system. The statistic would show about 10% of the outstanding warrants may show up. So if that would be true, that would be, you know, over 500. Right. But you know, this is the first time in Richland County. What we've experienced in other counties is, frankly, we have to do it a couple times. The first time people sort of get the idea, then you come back and do it the second time, and they really get the idea and they understand it, and your numbers go up dramatically. So we're going to be happy with however this turns out. And as Pastor Collins said, what's been just amazing and so very heartwarming, I think, is how the community has come together. People who, you know, have worked together somewhat in the past, but maybe not really extensively. And we're drawn from, you know, everybody from the law enforcement to the faith-based community to social service agencies, the court systems, everyone pulling together. And I think it's good for the community over and above, frankly, just the whole Fugitive Safe Surrender program. I think working together is always a good thing.
Right, and I agree with you 100% on that. It's always nice to unite all areas of public officials and people who love this community, because that's the backbone of counties and areas, are the people who work here, live here, and support this area. Maybe talk about how the program is funded, because the U.S. Marshal Service did announce earlier this year that they were going to cut funding to the program nationally. Talk about how it's funded and maybe why it was important to not let this program go.
Well, as you indicated, and we talked about a moment ago, this program was nationally funded, but it's always relied on the local community. It's always relied on the local police, the local sheriff, the local courts putting in their own resources. So it's really truly a grassroots effort. What we did in the Attorney General's office is I decided I wanted to really kind of be the catalyst for this. I wanted to help provide some of the expertise. So we got, frankly, someone who had been working on Fugitive Safe Surrender. Jeff has been involved in this before. He's full-time on our staff now and is focusing on Fugitive Safe Surrender. So when he's done with Mansfield, he'll move on to the, we'll move on to the next community. So what we bring to it is some of the expertise, being able to tap into some of those resources of how you do it. But frankly, the great resources are coming right from Richland County. It is the judges who are willing to put their effort into it, the sheriff, the police departments, and everyone else who's doing it. We also have a donor from Cleveland who contributed a significant amount of money that we're going to be able to tap into occasionally as we need it, as we move through these different programs in different communities.
Why do you feel, Pastor, it was important to bring this program to Richland County?
Initially, I had no idea we had 5,500 outstanding warrants.
I think we're all pretty surprised when we hear that number.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so initially, our going into this, again, was an opportunity to just reach out to the community. Then as we learned of the number of warrants that were outstanding, we really got a bigger scope of what this really could entail. And again, we want to do whatever we can do in this community to help our community be peaceful, to help our community to be successful. So with that number of warrants out, we're excited about this opportunity, and we're believing for more than the 10% in the first go round.
That's a good goal. Got to shoot past that 10%. Let's talk about, though, because some people may be thinking, what does that mean, an outstanding warrant, though? Like, does that mean these are violent offenders? Does that mean they just have speeding tickets, parking tickets? What does that mean? What levels are we talking about here?
Really, we're talking about nonviolent people.
Okay.
If someone who's a violent offender and shows up, they're frankly probably going to go to jail. I mean, that's what's going to happen. But the people who turn themselves in are generally the nonviolent offenders. These are everything to low misdemeanors. These are traffic violations. These are parking issues, maybe if they've accumulated many, where the court has got fed up and decided to issue a warrant. These would be, any kind of misdemeanor that you can think of and some low-level felonies.
We're going to learn more about the program. I have a few more questions I would like to ask both of you before we close the show out. And definitely, we're going to talk more about when this is being held and where, coming up in just a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back. We're learning about the Fugitive Safe Surrender program and how it is expanding to Richland County. It will be held October 5th through the 8th. That is Wednesday through Saturday at the Oasis of Love Church, and I am joined with Ohio Attorney General Mr. Mike DeWine and Pastor Renee Collins. She's the executive pastor of the Oasis of Love Church. It is located at 190 East Chester Avenue, correct?
That's correct.
And that day, we're going to have public officials, but you need volunteers and people helping out, correct?
Absolutely.
Talk to them about that and maybe if they would like to take part, what they can do and how they can contact you.
We are in need of volunteers. We need people to help escort the individuals that come to turn themselves in, to escort them throughout the sanctuary. We need individuals that can help pass out paperwork and collect paperwork. Child care services will be provided during this time. So we need people just to be greeters and to help people kind of, again, feel more comfortable as they work through this process. Rebecca Herget is actually heading up the volunteer committee. She can be reached at 419-564-4584. So anyone that's interested in volunteering can contact her, or they can contact me at the church at 419-524-0344, and that's extension 233. Again, our senior pastor, Dr. Walter Jordan II, is also heavily involved in this process, and he will be on hand during those 4 days as well.
That's fantastic. But also, Mr. Attorney General, they can call a hotline number.
That's right.
And I'm going to have that scroll right across the bottom of the screen. You can see it there. It's 877-647-8773. And that is more information about the program. And if you are interested in turning yourself in, which I think that you should do, it's going to be an awesome program, and you can learn more about that by calling that number. You can also log on to www.ohioattorneygeneral.gov, and then when you're on the website, you will search the program, Fugitive Safe Surrender. Maybe we have about 20 seconds to wrap it up. What would you like to say?
I think this is exciting. I just want to thank the Richland County community, and Pastor, thank you and your great church for doing this. We were talking, this has got to be a lot of work.
Absolutely.
and thank you for doing it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And I want to thank you both for being a part of today's show and spreading this very important message. If you or a loved one that you have has an outstanding warrant here in Richland County, head to the Oasis of Love Church October 5th through the 8th. What time does it begin in the morning?
9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
9 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day. And if you have a child and you are needing of someone to watch your child, don't let that stop you, because they've got child care provided as well. Good job, you guys. Thank you so much for coming in. And thank you for tuning in to this episode of Focus on North Central Ohio. Doing good things here in Richland County, definitely.